Oh, hey, we're live.
Hey, we live.
It's amazing what happens when you hit that button. Do we not have anybody watching? That's the question.
It's like being a radio host. It's like, I don't even want to see the number. I just want to pretend like there's a million people at all times.
5. Okay, we do have 5 people in. All right. That makes me feel a little bit better. I was sitting here going, wow, we haven't launched a live stream with 0 people in quite a while. It's been some time. How's everybody doing? Happy Friday. This is the final stream of 2023.
Ding, ding.
Going to be a bit of a Q&A. We got a couple of Qs lined up to A. Dylan's got some news about his setup there. And Beresford, how's it going, buddy? Hola.
Good eye.
Where's hola from? Hola. Anyways.
From hello.
Is that Spanish? SR375, how's it going? Yeah, and people slowly piling in. Oh, we're down to 2 viewers. People are like, oh, dear
because
God.
We said that. It's because we made a whole lot of joke. That's what it was.
You're like, oh, dear God, it's them again. Yeah, I know. I didn't bring Bandrew with me this time. Sorry, guys.
No, just me. It's a little all me.
The trolls. SR375, are you a troll? I didn't know Bloody Cactus Sanson needs to bring me that. AHSQ5, the box under the tree, is not the same size. Aw. What is the AHSQ5? I'm curious about that now. Do you know what an AHSQ5 is?
I know an SQ5 is an instant camera, but I don't think that's what we're talking about.
Alan Heath SQ5. Okay, that's that.
I know. I did, but yeah, Alan and Heath. Actually, it's funny. We're talking. So right now we're debating with the new studio builds at my work, which I'm part of that conversation, obviously. Why the fuck would I be part of that conversation?
That's normal. Yeah.
So we're debating between the AudioFuse Studio and the Allen and Heath CQ12, or the CQ12T, which is like a touchscreen based, like 12 channel kind of mixer. And there's some interesting considerations. One is moving parts. So the AudioFuse has moving parts, and broadcast engineers don't like moving parts.
Yeah, broadcast engineers hate touchscreens more sometimes.
Well, our engineer, our guy, Terry loves himself the Wheatstone. Like, oh, yeah, I'll just build you a custom like a vMix setup. But so we would go with the CQ12, but the problem is the touchscreen doesn't turn off.
Yeah.
And so that's a problem. But the counter to that, and I'm in the AudioFuse camp 100%. And I've already told them, I said, the CQ12, they're looking at that for Calgary. I said, it's a good unit. It's got AI based automatic gain control, which is kind of neat. So for producers that don't know how to do their job.
So it's not the studio, it's the new one, right? The 16?
No. It would just be the studio, the four mic input.
Okay.
For each production studio. Just as a centerpiece. And because we don't need anything more than that. In fact, even that is kind of overkill, but it's better quality than whatever Allen and Heath has to offer. But the thing about the Allen and Heath is it's got the touchscreen, and they've got a software component that exactly mimics the behavior and the interface of the touchscreen. So if the touchscreen fails, assuming the firmware doesn't shit itself, you can still control, like as a stopgap, you could still control it. I would like it if the touchscreen automatically turned off. It's meant for a lot of like compact live mixing scenarios. So I think it's generally designed to be turned on. It's not meant to be left on 24 hours a day.
Yeah, it's meant to be turned
whereas
off.
the AudioFuse is bus powered. So it is designed to be on basically 24 hours a day.
Yeah. By the way, just catching up, Red Cabin Acoustic, RCA in the house. I love that your name shortens to RCA.
That's cool. Yeah.
I started talking with my wife for her local AACP chapter, and the debate is on Google Meet versus Zoom. Ooh. ACG for live. Third-party mixing station supports the CQ really well too. I don't, when it comes to a radio station like that, I'm out of my depth. Like the needs, because is everything going to be going through that, or is it just the mic into the board?
Well, here's the thing. In a production studio now, production studios are highly simplified. We got, maybe 2 microphones, like an operator mic, and then a mic for a talent to stand at, because we're not really going to have a separate vocal booth necessarily. And then we got a computer.
Yeah.
And one computer, which is going to be likely one of these fancy schmancy Dell, like the crazy thing that you had me check the microphones on. And that's it. And like a wide orbit computer for dubbing. But even then, a lot of that is going to be done on the web start client on the actual laptop. So really, it's a laptop with a couple of mics.
That's basically all you need for like a production studio at a radio station.
Yeah. I mean, we're making content of quantity. So I need a good hard drive. I need a reliable Pro Tools installation. Some plugins. Most of it is in the box, though. I don't need a lot of hardware. I need good speakers and good microphones and an insulated room. That's it.
Yeah, that's all you've ever really needed. It's just radio stations love to like do it up back in the day, where they're like, let's drop 50 grand in that one little box.
My studio right now has got like an X32. I got like 5 monitors connected to one computer. Like I've got like microphones in random corners of the room for no apparent reason.
Love it. But
it makes you feel cool going to work every day because you're not in just some boring office. But in this case, the main consideration is space. These rooms that we're going to be in are going to be smaller because they're kind of, the Rogers TV, the Richmond Road address. So they're going to be kind of repurposing a portion of that building for the kind of the radio hub, and so that's going to be master controls.
Not a big building either.
It's deep.
Oh, is it deep? Okay.
You can get lost in that building. I didn't think so. I underestimated, but the first time I went there, like somebody had to you get lost. Wow. There's a lot of weird 45-degree angles, and there multiple floors, and
studios are built weird.
Yeah.
I remember I've driven past it a million. I haven't been in it, but
it goes very deep from the outside. From the front of it, it doesn't look particularly large, but it goes back quite a ways.
Oh man, but the drama with a $50,000 or a $50,000 box. Yeah, you know what? Radio stations used to literally throw a station up would be a $1 million price tag at the launch of a radio station. I was part of a launch of a radio station back in 2017, 2018, and I think it was 1.2 million for the launch of the station, which is ridiculous these days. You don't need that. You can launch a radio station in my studio. Like you could and you could launch it. I was doing my morning show for a major market radio station from my basement. It's not hard. So the idea of a company actually repurposing a building into a radio station again, like what they're doing, and then spending all that money on a brand new radio, no, why bother? You can do it with so much less now.
Well, even then, we're kind of pushing a fight for the audio fuse, which quality wise would be would definitely have Wheatstone or Axia shaking in its boots. For those that don't know, in a radio station, most of the hardware is run over Ethernet, most of the audio hardware, and it's one of two companies. It's either Axia or the big one is Wheatstone. Most radio stations run Wheatstone, and that's expensive stuff. I'm going through a Wheatstone processor right now. I'm going through a Wheatstone M2. Which is a digital mic processor, a blade, as they call it in the Wheatstone world.
Would they still be using that with the AudioFuse Studio?
No, there would likely be like some kind of a line running to the studio, from an Axia node for like switching purposes. So, for example, if I wanted a feed from Shay or I wanted a feed from Kiss, and that's how it is right now. Like my X32, we're in an analog shop for the most part. So they've got BIX blocks running between studios to the engineering room. And so if they need to crimp a new BIX connection to get me, but once they've made the connection to the Axia network, because we're kind of a hybrid, I can just tell them, hey, route me this channel or route me this feed into my Axia, and I got a stereo feed, and I can split it into two.
Yeah, that gives me a headache thinking about that. Red Cabin, I put a Rodecaster in the new newsroom for production. You know what? A Rodecaster Pro 2 on a small station, nobody would notice the difference.
Nope.
None. The preamps are pretty decent. And I keep getting all these comments, and I got another one this week from a guy who's like, have they fixed that stupid problem with the latency in the Rodecaster Pro? I'm like, there is no problem with it. There's a mild latency because it's going through a 4-core processor in the board and coming back out to the headphones. It's going to add latency no matter how you look at it. Well, yeah, but it's unusable. I'm like, it's 11 milliseconds. It's not unusable. Well, it throws me off and I can't work with it. Okay, then that doesn't mean it needs to be fixed. It means that one person has a hard time with 11 millisecond delay. I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I mean, there were back in the TDM world, like Pro Tools HD and TDM cards, and that infrastructure that was basically like 0 samples latency, or at least that was kind of the advertised. The real world, like it is impossible. Like electrons take time, guys, to move from thing to thing. You cannot have a fully 0 latency system. Now, I am lucky in my case. I'm not USB. I'm not FireWire. I am PCI Express, and so my latency, I can get down to 16 samples latency, which is completely undistinguishable. Yeah. Like if you are having trouble with 16 samples latency, the samples of latency aren't causing you the issues. The fact that you're drunk is. Yeah.
But no, even at 11 milliseconds, it's a slight chorus effect.
That's 100. That's 100th of a second.
Yes.
So if you made a waveform of 100 hertz, it is one chunk of that one cycle of that waveform. That is nothing.
Like I can hear it. It's such a slight little chorus effect on the voice. Yep. But I can play guitar to this. I can see it causing problems with some timing while you're trying to do music. I could see that possible. Yeah. Very, very slight possibility. But the idea of that 11 milliseconds throws you off, or it's a garbage unit because it has 11 milliseconds. Dude, 5 years ago, you try getting something with under 11 milliseconds on a unit. We have gotten so good at bringing down latency. I don't even know what people are complaining about. If you can't handle 11 milliseconds, what did you do 5 years ago?
So I was going to say, so right now, so 11 milliseconds, I'm trying to do the math, and because most of my software runs in they speak in samples, not in milliseconds, as far as hardware round trip. So I just did the math on mine. So at 44.1, at 64 samples, which is usually what I'm operating in. And that's, 16 samples I can do with no plugins or processing on anything. So just like plain Jane vanilla, but realistically, I like to monitor with some processing. So I'm usually operating at about 1.4 milliseconds. That's 64 samples. So 11 milliseconds, that's up in the 256, 512 range, maybe. And I mean, for music, that's pushing it.
That is, absolutely.
You're going to be fighting with it.
But that's only on Windows. That's only on Windows. When you're on Mac, you can get it down to 64.
Yeah, and 64 is usually pretty good, provided you're not USB 2.0 at 480 megabits. Because then you're bottlenecked by the platform, or you're bottlenecked by the protocol.
I believe all the Rodecaster Pro 2, Rode X, all them are USB 3.0.
That's fine.
That's part of the problem that the Streamer X had that I had with it is it's definitely 3.0 and you need a cable that's up for it.
And that's fine. Like the bandwidth of 3.0, there are people that debate this, but there is way more bandwidth available in even 3.0, let alone like 3.2 Gen 2 or whatever.
3.0 is fine.
You're never in a basic audio interface with like 2 channels throughput maximum, you're not going to saturate that connection.
Well, the difference is the Streamer X with the 4K capture. It does saturate it. You need the 3.0, and even if you're cable,
as soon as you loop in video, I'm just talking audio. Like if you're looping in video, that's going to clog up your bandwidth like crazy.
I actually have a video coming out about this. So I've got this cable. I can't actually get it all. This used to be my favorite USB-C cable. It was a 3.0 Amazon Basics. Loved this cable. Ordered it. It cost me $30. It's like I think it's a 10-footer or 12-footer. Great cable. I've used it for years, including with the Rode X, the Streamer X. And it was when I started having problems with the Streamer X, this was the cable on it. And I was getting pissed. I'm like, can't be this cable works for the Rodecaster Duo, the Rodecaster Pro. What's the problem with this? Turns out that this thing is just degrading. And so this thing basically went from a USB 3.0 to a USB 2.0, just degrading with time. And I bought a new one and it works perfectly fine.
I've had that in the video environment. I've had that happen with BNC cables.
Yeah.
BNC, which, you're looking at gigahertz, right? You're looking at gigahertz of a baud on that cable. So you really got to have a nice, well, it's like a word clock cable. Like I had an argument with somebody this week over BNC cables in use for word clocks. And they're like, you could just get any old ArcNet cable. That's fine. I'm like, you're an idiot. No, no, you need a cable that can sustain a square wave that is literally at 44 kilohertz or 384 kilohertz. That's a really high waveform.
We're falling behind. Logic 5 Zozo, hand pink waving, face red, heart shape. Hey brother, just saying hello. I love that that's spelt out. That's fantastic. SR375, always Thunderbolt. Yes. Okay, so we've got Slartabaf. I've never seen Slartabaf in chat. Says, hi everyone. How's it going, buddy?
Today.
Welcome to the live stream. Red Cabin says, I've been feeding my Wheatstone. They can talk to each other with mix minus. It's fine. Got a mix cast for sports remotes. So you've got a Rodecaster Pro 2 feeding your Wheatstone and you talk to with mix minus. That's cool. And you got a Mixcast 4 for sports remotes. I've done a couple remotes with the Mixcast 4. It's fantastic. It is one of the best for doing remotes. And like we would record our interviews while we're on remote and we would just load it into a pad. And then instead of doing a live interview, we could record them while the songs are playing and then just edit them really tight, sound good, and throw them in a pad and boom, there's your interview. It was awesome. And then SR375, if there's latency issues, it might be an issue with the machine you are using to connect to the Rodecaster.
Totally.
That's a problem with Windows. 100%.
That's a problem with shitty Mac too.
Macs, I haven't had the problem because, and this is the thing, Rodecaster Pro 2 and all the Rode interfaces right now are all developed on Mac. Meaning,
it doesn't matter, man. If you got it all goes through a CPU. If your CPU is slow, everything that goes through it's going to be slow.
Absolutely. With the new M1s, which I have a feeling, or M1 or M2 or M3,
those are usually optimized for performance.
Not a single problem.
Yeah.
I actually just bought the computer I'm on right now is the new MacBook Air M2 15-inch. This is now my testing rig. I did it. This is my Christmas present to myself. And you just plug it in and it works. Oh my God. Mr. Awesome Sauce, I haven't been able to attend many of your streams lately, but I'm glad I'm here for the last one of 2023. Glad you're here too. Using Rodecaster Pro 2 with M1 Mac. Yeah, M1 Mac seems to be the Apple M1 Pro. I went M2. I waited until M2 came out because I know Mac and their
and their initial ventures into technology are usually garbage.
Yeah, my wife got the M1 and it's okay, but like they were selling like M1 with 8 gigs of RAM is fine. You can do anything with 8 gigs of RAM. You can't.
No, you can't. No, you can't.
You can't. It doesn't matter.
I only do audio, and I'm on 64 gigs, guys. Like,
yeah, like I got the 16 gigs, and I have no problem with video because it's 16 gigs integrated on the system on a chip, the SoC, right?
SoC, yeah.
So it's a lot easier with 16 gigs. I'm not running 4K. Everything's still 1080p, but I also can run with whatchamacallits, the smaller versions, what do you call it when you're editing with they downgrade the video for the edit. I mean, like
the divide by 2, divide by 4.
Yeah, I can't remember what it is. 16 gigs at least. Yeah, the 16 gigs. I think I'm off Windows for everything creative now. I don't think I'm going back either. I've got my Windows PC for gaming. But even with gaming, I'm gaming on this thing for crying out loud. So many games are being released for Mac now. I play Civ 6 while I'm waiting for my kid.
But see, that's dumb. From a marketing standpoint, that's stupid because gamers are in the PC world. That's the whole ecosystem is PC. So, now obviously people might release for both platforms. That's feasible. But like, if I'm a game developer, I'm going to make the games for the places that the gamers are. And the gamers, other than content creators or people that, surf the web on their MacBook Air.
I mean, outside of Diablo, Civ 6 which is what I play on here. There aren't a ton of games, but there's more being released for Mac. You don't see like anything massive. Like you don't see like Call of Duty or anything on Mac.
Yeah,
that's stupid. Nobody's playing that on Mac.
Exactly. Yeah.
Slartabaf. I'm gonna have to get a hard time. That's hard to say. First time writing something, but I was a lurker last time when you had Banjo on. Love your videos and really enjoy the live experience or expertise in your streams. I thought you were saying live experience because I'm like, yeah, these are pretty loose, man. These are loose streams, baby. Good to have you though. Thanks. If City Skylines 2 could be released for Mac. You know what? I haven't played City Skylines 2 yet. I have it. I suck at the game, but I really want to get into it. That's like one of those like 2-3 days straight of playing red eye games, right? Like you're you're doing all the fine touches to the city. I really want to get on that. Beresford. Cheers, buddy. I feel as if this donation is only fair given the amount of entertainment you've both given to me over the last year. And now I have a full-time job. I can be a bit looser with my wallet. Cheers, brother.
Cheers.
Beresford, where'd you get the full-time job? Just curious. But good for you, man. Thank you very much for the super chat. And I'm glad we can actually be some sort of entertainment for you.
at least entertainment.
I was talking to Bandrew last week after stream, and we just kind of sat back and we shot the shit for a little bit of time. And I was like, he's like, so I forget how we got on the subject, but I was talking about why I do the stream. And honestly, I enjoy doing the stream because this is usually the only social time I have with Dylan. Like, this is actually, I look forward to it because Dylan and I will get on the phone and we'll shoot the shit for like 2 hours.
This is hard, right? We're both in like the hustle bustle content space. So we, our weeks just go by, and then suddenly we get to Friday and we're like, oh yeah, shit, I haven't talked to you in like a week.
Right. And it's just one of these things where like I almost do this. One, I love hanging with you guys and just having.
Oh yeah, this is like this isn't any kind of money making necessarily. No. Although Beresford's about to change that.
Yeah, appreciate that, man. Yeah, this thing on views alone, it makes zero. Like even on last week's stream with Bandrew, it's gonna make like I'll make like $2. But it's literally a social engagement for me. This is me time to hang out with Dylan, chat with you guys. We're going to be adding a members only audio chat on Discord as well, because that's kind of another way to just, this is my social time, guys. I don't get a lot of social involvement. And it's just kind of just one of those things about being a YouTuber, man. I don't know. It's just one of those things. Well-known financial institution, can't give more details as my pre-tax income is essentially public knowledge. Fair enough. Well-known fan. I wasn't looking for exactly where in the address of it. So
no, more just like industry, like, so finance. So that's good.
This is like sitting at the bar and shooting the breeze with everyone. It kind of is. And this is like, I don't mind making it all about audio and like having that big audio chat with everyone. But for the most part, I like keeping this loose because it's Friday. I don't want to do a ton of prep for this thing. I don't mind prepping a bit. But like last week hosting with Bandrew and with Bark is I put together 7 questions, and that's about the amount that I wanted to prep for it. And we still had content left over after an hour and 15 minutes. We still had more. We could have continued to talk. So this is just right for me. Like I have a few things planned already, one good and one bad comment. So we'll see how that goes. Actually, we'll get to that right now because I actually have a question for Dylan. So there we go. Number 1. This is from Hex Enthusiast 2192 from Australia. Good day, mate. Thank you for all your videos and your advice on live stream a few weeks ago. I'm loving my live track L8 and SM7B with Cloudlifter. Haven't used for recording yet, only for streaming. Can you suggest any software to use as a noise gate or reduce background noise from the SM7B being so clear? I can't always kick my kids out of the house while I'm streaming. Thanks in advance from Australia. Now, Dylan, before you jump on this, there's a couple things I want to make perfectly clear. I hate noise gates. I don't use them. I built my environment to be relatively sound, not proofed, but it's like I use a shotgun mic. I have treatment on the walls. I'm in the basement. I have 2 dogs that you don't normally hear when I'm doing videos, but I kind of treated my area in that way. I can close the door. Noise gates don't get rid of the noise. While you're talking, the noise will still be there. So if your kids are screaming bloody murder, it's not going to remove the sound of your kids screaming bloody murder while you're talking. It'll just give this really uncomfortable stomp on the audio as soon as you're done talking. So personally, I don't know. I've never used noise gate. So I figured I would leave this one to Dylan.
So I don't, I would say I don't use broadband noise gates. I will use multi-band noise gates because multi-band noise gates lets you really kind of hone in. And so an example for those that don't know of a multi-band noise gate, RX spectral denoise is an extremely high resolution multi-band noise gate, because what you do, for those that have never tried to use spectral denoise, I use it almost every day, is you take a sample of what your noise floor is. So obviously you have to have a chunk of your recording that you're not moving, you're not breathing, it's just room tone.
Yeah.
And then you sample that, and then that basically tells spectral denoise, okay, here is the threshold when any bit of the spectrum of audio that is the signal drops below a part of this line, cut off, but only cut off that area of frequencies. And so I find spectral denoise, assuming you don't have a particularly obnoxious environment.
But he's doing live streaming. That's the big thing.
Yeah, well, see that, and that's a processor. I mean, there is a version of spectral denoise that can be used in real time, but there is a substantial latency that it injects onto the signal.
I would also think you'd need a beefy freaking computer for that, like to have.
And again, like in my case, the only broadband noise gate that I like, and that's because it was designed to be good quality, is this Wheatstone, this Vorsys M2 noise gate that I have. Everything else about this Vorsys is pretty much a chainsaw. I'm going through that right now in this RE27. And one of our engineers calls it a chainsaw. But the only thing about it that I remember, back when I had air conditioning in the room with me and it was a pain in the ass, I was like, okay, like, whenever I use my DBX noise gate, my DBX 166 XL, which is a hardware noise gate, I could hear like this fluttering as the air conditioning. You remember?
I hate that.
It's sitting right on the threshold of the gate of the expander. And but then this thing is it's really quick. It's really smooth coming in. It's really smooth going out. Still not perfect, but for live stuff, it's the best thing that I've pretty much got in my kit. As far as software goes, that's a really interesting question.
Let me jump in really quick here, though.
Mm-hmm.
One of the tenets of the podcast course that I'm putting together that I've also mentioned here is stop giving people a reason to stop listening or watching your content. Having bad audio, and what I mean by bad audio is badly treated audio.
Yep.
Bad EQs, bad compression. Oh my God, bad compression.
Oh yeah.
Bad noise gating. You're better off, and I watch a few streamers that have kids in the room. They have a very mild gate on just to try to keep the murmur down, but the kids break through the gate all the time and nobody cares. They hear the dogs break through the gate and nobody cares. Yep. As long as your kids aren't screaming bloody murder at the top of their lungs, no one's going to care. You know what they will care about, though? That gross, it almost gives you like this vertigo feel when you have that stomp down and it goes to quiet.
Mm-hmm.
You just lose the presence. It's weird.
It's like the audio version of Uncanny Alley.
Yeah.
Right? It's like it's not natural, right? Because when you're listening to somebody talk in a room, there's sound around you, right? It's normal but imagine if you were in a room with somebody and they would talk and they're talking and everything's great, and then as soon as they stop talking, just dead quiet. That would be weird.
Yeah, and that's why I don't like. I would recommend for anybody that needs a gate, work on finding a place where you can get away from the sound source.
Yep.
And once you've done that, you've minimized. Like down here, I don't never use a gate. Like I have the gate turned off with every piece of equipment I use on Rode's, the Rode Duo, whatever, Rodecaster Duo. But my dogs are still upstairs. They bark once in a while. I have a cat that comes down and eats food while I'm shooting videos. I refuse to gate it out because people don't care if they hear a cat eating food while I'm shooting a video. People don't care if they hear dogs walking across the floor. What they do care about is that my audio goes then back in.
One thing that comes to mind, and I would have to set this up myself in order to figure out whether it's viable, but so Waves has an infrastructure that they're sort of, it's called Rack something, I think. I never use it because I only use Waves plugins inside a DAW. But Waves plugins are all real time. They're all real time plugins, and there are lots of Waves gates that are quite good, and flexible. And so I would say where I would be inclined to start if I was looking for a solution and I needed a software fix is to run it inside like the Waves MyRack or whatever. So someone's going to correct me on it, I know. But because that gives you flexibility and you can add other processors, right?
Yeah.
But I laugh when you first mentioned this question because I don't generally put SM7B and like clear and detailed in the same sentence.
I'm guessing he's got other things going on.
I love this little guy. Don't get me wrong. I use it all the time. Right now, it's going through my Neve, and it sounds bloody gorgeous. But one of the reasons I use it is specifically because it's so quiet and there's very little noise.
I feel as though he's probably going through OBS or some kind of streaming software that lets him use VSTs.
Okay, so then I would look into that because Waves has. So I would start with like a Waves C1, like a comp expander gate, right? That's not the best gate in the Waves lineup, but it'll get you going.
Yeah.
It'll get you going. And again, ideally, if you're going to use a gate, you need to make sure that your noise floor is as low as you can possibly get it, because the higher your noise floor is, the more noticeable it's going to be when the gate comes in and out.
Yeah.
In this case, this room that I'm in, it's not perfect, but generally the noise floor is pretty good. I've got 2 racks. The only thing in here that's got some sound, my computer has been built specifically for acoustic applications. So it's a very quiet machine.
Yeah.
But I've got, 2 sets of really terrible PWM controlled fans blowing my rack. And so I got this little remote that when I need to record, click, boom, fans go off. I can do stuff. It gets bloody warm in there.
Now that I'm not with my desk behind me, when my desk was behind me, the shotgun would inadvertently point at my computer.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd pick up the hum of the computer. It was annoying. Let's get through some comments here really quick.
Yep.
Delivery TV, greetings from Houston. Roadcaster 2 plus SM7B here, but definitely a lot of acoustic foam. Acoustic foam, if you can get some, I swear to God, I don't know why people message me going, is this a good upgrade? Will this sound good and reject background noise? You know what? Instead of upgrading your mic, stay with the $100 microphone and go spend $500 on some.
You want to get rid of your background noise? How about getting rid of your background noise?
Yeah. Like my room's really reverby. What if I get an SM7B? Will it help? No.
Honestly, get moving blankets. Okay. Go to the store, get moving blankets, and get like picture frame hooks. Don't use the hooks. Just use the bolts, the nails that it comes with, and just tack those onto the wall. Right behind my computer, I got a blanket on the wall. It's a very good looking blanket, so it's aesthetic, but it absorbs shit like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah. Your room's actually pretty good for the amount of treatment you have.
There's just almost none.
We got SR375. Why not a DBX compressor limiter? Yeah, you know what? I mean, I don't like baked in hardware if you don't need to.
What I will say is this. Do you need hardware? No. And I'm the hardware guy. So that's coming from me. But if you want to have a better understanding of how these tools work and you want to experiment a little bit and get to know them, because the software counterparts, generally speaking, behave the same as the hardware counterparts. Compression is one of those things. I am going to be doing both a video on how I compress the SM7B to sound good, and also just a general video about compressing voiceover, because compressors are non-linear. Setting a compressor properly is not intuitive. Those settings don't really mean anything to anybody if you've never worked with a compressor, like ratio, attack, release, threshold. Like, what are all these things? What do they mean? How do they interact with the audio? What does a compressor actually do? And so I think it's worth talking about, because it is an absolutely crucial component of processing a voice, compression. But caveat there is compressing it properly, right? Kind of like a violin is really great instrument when it's played right.
Right.
It's played right.
Something I did made me leave the studio. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but I'm back. Really quick. Hey guys, Merry Christmas or Happy Christmas. Getting a soft tube console next week.
Nice. Congrats. That's awesome.
That's from Dan Asdas.
That's awesome.
SR375. Okay, that answers that. Yeah, I think we beat that one to death.
Yep.
Really quick, it's for live streaming only, and he has an NVIDIA graphics card. He could utilize noise removal from NVIDIA Broadcast. I would say that is a freakily good application.
Do you see Linus's video on that? Oh my God.
It's ridiculous. Like, it is really cool. I would say if you have egregious sound, it makes you sound like crap. However, if you don't have egregious sound, it's really good. It's very fast too.
Yep.
Get rid of the background noise. Love it, Dylan. Yeah, no kidding, right? I have tons of issues with computer noise. Quiet computing is a thing. I've modified all my switchgear to use Noctua fans. I have Noctua fan on my computer. It's my graphics card is loud as hell. I need to fix that at some point.
See, I went with the 3060 Ti, and I went with the iteration of it? I think it was EVGAs, because they had these three giant honking 120s on it, and I'm like, okay, so I can run those quietly. And then the rest of my machine, I think I've got like in my rig, because I'm a big fan of ventilating, because electronics fail when they get warm, and I'm really interested in not having them fail. And so I think in my case, I've got 5 case fans that are Noctua, and then I've got 2 140 CPU fans that are actually three that are Noctua, and they're all like heat spreader. And so the CPU sometimes, usually only when I'm working on video, because it is a massively overpowered CPU for audio work. But it will ramp up, and it sounds like a jet taking off. But the case fans, this is the key. The case that I have has a physical 3-speed switch that all of the case fans are connected to. So when I need to record, I just dial that down, and it's completely quiet, because there's no hard drive. There's no other moving parts other than the fan.
Yeah, you can get a program for it too. Here, let's move on to the next. This is the negative one, and this is the one I just wanted to address before we hit Christmas, because then I've got to be all cheerful and stuff. It comes from Cynical Vapsta.
Cynical. Here we go.
So I did the review on the Scarlet Solo Studio Kit, and I basically called out the Scarlet microphone as being garbage, which it is. And the headphones,
studio kits, right? Like,
yeah, the headphones were absolute trash, and it's do not buy it. And what I did in that video, in case it's been a while since you've seen it, I recommended for the exact same price, a decent setup that you could buy, and for the same price, have a microphone you could resell, have a pair of headphones you could resell. It also included the studio, or the Solo Studio, or the Focusrite Solo. That's what I'm looking for. So it included that as well, because that's a decent interface. And this guy said, I find this review to be overly harsh with intent from the start to be negative about it. Perfect for someone to get started and not get lost in a sea of product. Take a deep breath. I vented on him already. I find this to be one of the most frustrating things that I get on this channel all the time.
I was going to say, it's not the first time that sentiment has been expressed.
No. But the problem I'm finding is there's so many people willing to say it's good enough, and because they bought it, it's good enough, and anybody that doesn't think it's good is an asshole. And I don't think these people understand what a freaking review is. Like, that's the review, man. That's the whole point.
And also, like, hey, I got an opinion that doesn't agree with your opinion. Go get a life. Like, don't, like, I don't hate you because we have a different opinion. So, like, why are you picking fights with me? Like, I am allowed to have an opinion.
It's so frustrating when it comes from people that are just trying to justify it that as though their purchase made sense, and they think that it's good enough to start with. You know what's good enough to start with when you're doing audio is an SM58, is a decent interface that costs over $100, and is a pair of decent headphones that are relatively flat. That's all you need. You can get that for under $300. Plain and simple. That's good enough. And if they're selling you a kit that doesn't give you the same thing, then the kit is garbage. Flat out. And this is one of these things that I think I'm going to start deleting people from the channel when they give this stuff, because there's so many people out there willing to spend their money, and because they don't understand audio, they want to buy the kit because they don't understand what they need to look for in a mic. They don't understand what they need to look for in headphones. So they see this and they see somebody saying it's perfectly good to get started, and they go, okay, buy. And now you just wasted somebody's freaking money. And that's what I'm trying to avoid. It's so frustrating when you're willing to just do this because your feelings are hurt for a product. Also, who cares if you, anyways.
I've bought lots of dumb shit, right? And I'm a savvy consumer, like, and when I pull a trigger on any purchase over $50, there's thought and there's strategy that goes into that. I'm not about throwing away money. But even with that, I've made lots of purchases that I'm like, this is dumb. I wish I'd known this, before, but live and learn, right? Yeah. Live and learn. And to the comment at the end about, getting lost in to see a product, there are really helpful resources Hello.
Like review channels.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah,
There are
Dan,
really helpful resources that will help you not get lost in a sea of products. So simply saying like, oh, there's too much out, that's being lazy. You're
Yeah.
being lazy.
Dan, sounds like you really didn't watch your video. You provided a viable alternative. How's that harsh negative? That's what I said. Like, anyways.
Yeah, you're not saying you're a fucking idiot if you bought this. It's saying I would never buy this. Instead, if you're thinking of buying this, instead, here's something that's comparably priced that will give you better value and resale value. Kits don't resell. I got a kit lens with my Nikon. It's an okay lens, but I know I'm never going to sell that for anything.
They're garbage.
Yeah.
They're trash. I love this. TechMed, cheers. Have a nice holiday season. Cheers, brother. Thank you so much for the super chat. I do appreciate that. I love this. A lot of people like saying like do your work, do your job. The type of person is only happy when they're trolling. Yeah, I'm not. I don't react well to trolls. A Rodecaster Duo I plan to buy. If I plug in 3 NTHN 100M, can I make the plug on the front of my mic? My mic on channel 1. The other 2 would be my 2 co-commentators. I don't believe so. Not with the Rodecaster Duo. If you want to have 3 inputs, I don't believe on the Rodecaster Duo. I have got it right here too. I don't believe on the Rodecaster Duo that this front.
I mean, I'm just doing the math in my head. Duo means 2.
Yeah, well, there are ways to snake around. The best way, Wayne Netter, the best way to get a third microphone on this is through USB. You can actually put a USB microphone on USB 2. And what that does is it routes it through the USB 2 and you have your own like thing on there. The only real way to get 3 microphones onto the Rodecaster Duo or 5 microphones on the Rodecaster Pro 2. But you're probably going to need a Rodecaster Pro. That's it's trying to cheese it. And I know like this is a big problem with the Rodecaster Pro 2. Everyone's like, but it's got too many microphone inputs. Then the Duo and everyone's like, well, how can I get 4 microphones on the Duo? It's like, you can't. It's a Duo.
No. This is why, like when you're making a purchase, you gotta try to predict a certain amount of scalability that you're going to need for what you're doing. If you think you're doing panel style podcasts, get something with more than 2 inputs. Yeah. And that's not even an idiot kind of comment. That's just people make that mistake all the time. I've made that mistake buying a certain solution that I thought was scalable to the degree that I needed. I needed more. And then I go, okay, well, I guess I'm trading this in and upgrading anyway. I wish I'd just done that from the get-go.
I'm getting bigger. SR375 with the quote of the week. Same thing with espresso nerds. You know what? I'm a coffee snob. I'm a massive coffee snob. But I will never, unless you drink, what is it called? Folgers. I will never mock your coffee taste unless you drink Folgers. I won't mock anyone's coffee taste, even though
you've been in my place. You've seen the weird stuff that we do for coffee over here.
Yeah, I mean, if that's your taste, that's your taste. It's move on, man. I don't understand. I've also
it does the job for me. Yeah, I waste money on coffee all the time, but I like it. It makes my life happy.
Slartabaff, coffee bros are the worst. Am I a coffee bro? Oh no.
No, I don't think you're a coffee bro unless you like scoff at people that don't do what you do. I think then you're a coffee bro.
Yeah, that's fair. Johnny, yes, my daughter's a barista, and that's what she calls people like that.
This is a great
no. Oh no. That sucks. Anyways, wow, we're way behind. Yeah, Slartabarf brings up a good point. For the Rodecaster Duo, you need to have a Rode USB mic. That said, you can get the cheap. It handles almost any of the Rode USB mics. So, and there are a lot of cheap Rode USB mics. Set a budget and do the best to fit the budget. Yeah. Also, you don't need to have a Rodecaster to set a 4-person podcast up. If you have 3 people, you can go out and buy a mixer that handles, if you're not taking phone calls, even if you are taking phone calls, God, most boards nowadays have Bluetooth as an input. Most boards.
Oh yeah.
The Mackie Pro FX 8V3, I think it is. That gives you 4 inputs. From a Canadian perspective, I think they're $300 or even less than that. I think they're probably under $200 American.
Dude, you know what? One thing I've got in my rack, and I got to sell it one of these days. I got this big fucking Gentner phone hybrid. And you know what the most useless piece of shit is in my rack now? Because of the advent of cell phones and Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Is this big, and the thing is, so for those who don't know what a phone hybrid is, it's basically a device that will take a phone signal from like an RJ11 input and give you like an XLR line output feed and a line input feed and send it to the phone. That's all it does. That's all a phone hybrid does. And they're huge. They're huge. This thing is a full 1 unit rack space. It's 20 inches long. It's got an IEC input and it just has 2 XLR in and out and a phone channel input and output. That's it. And I don't know what I'm going to do with it. It's useless.
Give me a second here. So, Slartabath? I mean, can't do it. Yeah, Slartabath. But I thought the front TRS was specifically for a producer in mind. That is a great question. I never ever considered it. I got to find like they got key features, but I need to find the specs.
I mean, so when we're talking about TRS jack, are we talking about the
front one? The front jack. It's
I was going to say double RS. That's usually mic and headphones.
I don't know if it is a headset. Okay, it's one 3.5 TRS headset jack.
I was going to say I don't know a ton of other things that use a double RS.
I don't know what channel that's going to go over then. So I've never, because to me the idea of putting a third headset mic through that, I don't know.
Now,
what channel
would that be like? Is there like a talkback bus of some kind?
There is talkback on these.
Okay, so maybe that overrides whatever the talkback is.
Yeah, like with a producer in mind, having a talkback with either the person on the phone or blah. Whether or not I haven't tested, maybe I'll actually look into that. Because
I've got a TRRS breakout cable if you want to actually be able to plug in a couple.
I actually think I'm going to throw the other Duo I have at you so you can play with it.
Yeah, I'm really curious now. Yeah, I always there's some devices that I will be honest, I have found devices that have TRRS jacks that don't actually use the second ring. And it annoys me. I think it's just maybe they had cheap parts available. So they just used that hardware but didn't actually. Yeah, I mean, I'm curious.
Yeah, no, I think I'll throw that one at you because I have 2 Duos now, so that way you can play with it and have some fun with it. And also, if you want to start a podcast, there you go.
Yeah. You want to have 1,000 people.
Yeah. So this is SR375 for budget folks. Use Gear's a thing. There's lots of great options. Yeah. I mean, you can get almost all the first generation podcast boards for super cheap used. Go to podcast groups. There's always somebody who decided to drop $1,000 on a podcast setup. And then they realized, oh crap, I don't want to be a podcaster because it's too much work. So they end up putting it up there at a pretty decent price. I would say though, get the cheapest setup you can get to start. Buy a PodTrack P4, 4 simple microphones, and then find out if you want to be a podcaster. Like that, one of the best ways to find out is just jump in and upgrade when you start making money.
Yeah.
If you don't need $1,000 setup on your podcast to start, because you're probably not going to make money for a long time, if ever. Right? Like I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, most businesses statistically 3 years. That's how long it takes to break even. 3 years. Like,
this YouTube channel was 2 years before it started like making any definable money. And then from there, it's like, yeah, definable, but still not a lot. And now it's just getting to the point where it's like, okay, that's something you can start to count on.
Yeah, you're right on the fringe of this being like actually like viable full-time career kind of thing.
It can take the third mic. This is Wayne Kettner. It can take the third mic. I just wondered if I can make it come up on slider 1. I don't know. I can't imagine why. Like there's no input for it, right? Like when you go through the inputs on the board, when you look at the inputs when you're doing the routing, there's no input for jack 1 on front. So my guess was it would be full on producer. It might be part of the main mix. I don't know, but I doubt it. I will look into it though. So Wayne, if you want to stick around, I'll look into that. Maybe I'll throw up a note on I'll put out a note on the communications or on the Discord. So join the Discord. I've got, I do actually have one of those headset things. So I'll try it out, see if it works. find out. That's going to be a fun little project. I've got a lot of work, man. Going into Christmas, I've got this thing still. I've got to do a review on a mic stand. It's
Nice.
a boom arm.
I see that. Yeah.
The DS2 from Rode. They're actually nice little. And if you're not a stand kind of guy, you like your boom arms, eh?
At my desk, I just like to save desk space. But when it comes to actual like stuff in the room, like I got 5 mic stands set up behind me. One you can see in the side of the frame there with the pencil mic.
This would be an awesome amp. What's that little? Oh, I froze.
Yeah, you froze up. There you are.
That keeps happening on here. Are you wearing NTH 100?
Just showed up beside your head.
I'm wearing the NTH 100s. So
nice.
Yeah, so I didn't know if I had the actual mic portion. Because I've had a couple of the mics come through, but I've never actually used them. I've never really been big on headset mics.
No, I don't like headset mics.
But this little thing would be awesome to mic your amp with. It's perfect size, and it adjusts. I think it's up to like 16 inches.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's good for like a combo.
So this is I've got the video coming on this, but it's also one of those things where so you know how long I had to wait for this thing? This is the usual desk stand mic that I was waiting in the mail for before I could finally get this Rode the DS2 video done.
Those little desks, I hate those.
So, but that's the comparable to it. So
yeah, no, I like the idea of the boom, man. I gotta at least have a boom on the stand. Like having just a straight now. In a stage setting, if you got a singer center stage and it's got the classic look, not having a boom arm on it, sure. But in any practical scenario, not having any kind of a fulcrum to move the mic around is a real pain in the butt.
Emoji reaction settings on Mac. And maybe that's what I did. I don't know. And then Dan, bass drum miking maybe too soon. Yeah, too soon, Dan. Yeah, this is... Damn it, Dan.
Had to go there.
This thing, what I like about these desk stands is, one, if you are one of those people that you got a 4-person podcast, so you sit at your dinner table. I've seen so many of those, man, because 4 people, you don't have a lot of room to hang out and record a podcast. So most people sit at their dinner table. Yep. So they don't have boom arms. This is great for that. The rejection on it's actually not bad. But also, because of the way the bottom is, it doesn't have that tipping problem.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah, you put a broadcast mic on, it doesn't tip this way. Where these things, if you have any weight overhanging because the center of gravity is at the middle, it dips really quick.
And it's not a very great center of gravity either.
No,
it's like that bottom portion is maybe 2 pounds.
Okay, SR375. Google use reactions, presenter overlay, and other effects when video conferencing on Mac. It's a lot to type, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of type. Copy paste.
Yeah, well, I can't actually.
I was gonna say, you'll just click on his comment again.
Here, I'll put it on another page so I can actually read this. Okay, I'm gonna Google it. This is good streamer.
Yeah, it's good streamer content.
Use reactions.
Use reactions, presenter overlay, and other effects when video conferencing on Mac. I feel like I'm like the question reader in Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, who just awkwardly says,
there we go. Use reactions, presenter overlay, and other effects. Wow, it's like you just pulled that right off the Apple website. So to express how you feel. I didn't push any buttons though. Show red hearts.
But Aiden, Mac is everything just works.
Yeah, I know. Oh, that's the thumbs up. Show the thumbs up emoji. Click the thumbs up button in the reaction submenu. There's no reaction submenu, man. God damn.
I am not gonna lie, I'm kind of loving this.
Yeah. Anyways, enabled by default. Yeah. Yeah, but I did it on my video where I had this stupid thumbs up, and it like completely locks my video for a few seconds.
Yeah, that was weird. It's just thumbs up just showed up beside your head. It was like it screen capped you for some reason.
When using center stage, your room appears in the background. Virtual backgrounds are disabled, and you can walk, talk, and move in front of the screen. Yeah, but I don't have that. I'm not even using the webcam on the. Anyways, I don't care. It's something. I'm doing something that's causing thumbs up to happen.
Weird.
Green video button on the upper right-hand corner. Green video button. Oh man, I suck at this, guys.
This is such engaging content,
Yeah,
right?
so great contents. Menu bar. Oh yeah, that thing up here. Google Chrome currently sharing. Whatever. I quit. I quit. You know what? I used to love Mac. I'm going back to PC. Ways to make my crap job provided headset better. Bring your own.
Yeah.
It depends on what the headset is. Bring your own. I'm actually emceeing an event for my kids' synchronized swimming tomorrow morning, where I'm actually emceeing. They're doing this like holiday show where they're showing off what they've learned all year. And I know I'm going to show up and they're going to hand me like some crappy like Radio Shack microphone. And I'm going to be like, so I'm bringing a couple of my own mics, a few XLRs, and I'm even bringing a board. Because you know what? You never know.
You never know. Yep, I'm the same way. Got to be prepared.
Yeah, I'm going to put it in my Rodecaster bag and just bring my Rodecaster Pro 2. Why not? Where's a good producer when you need one? Yeah, you know what? I would love to have a producer for the live stream because I don't like doing all this crap, all the buttons. I like it's better than OBS. OBS was garbage.
Oh yeah, we always had fun with that.
But I do not like having to be in charge of all this stuff.
Well, OBS is like PC, StreamYard is like the Mac. It just kind of works.
It's you know what? It is actually really nice. Like just being able to do this is and sharing comments on screen, so I'm not just reading them.
And even like presenting, like it's easy for us to share a screen quick. Like or in a bit, I'll talk about my hardware issues, and I've got some visuals to go with it.
Oh, that's right. Actually, get to that because we're already at an hour.
I know. So real quick, something that I think that I was just talking to Aiden about is with high-end gear, one thing that people don't consider is that all equipment fails at some point. That's inevitable. Electronics stop working. It's you can't avoid it. There's a lot of places that will do servicing on a Behringer. There's a lot of places that'll do servicing on a Mackie. There's a lot of places that'll do servicing on a Rogue. Not a lot of places that will do servicing on a solid state Logic. And so the issue that I have is, Aiden, I'm just going to share quickly here. Screen share, Erpla Kershurns. How do I do this? I'm very shitty at this.
Well, once you share it, it'll show up here and I'll handle it from there.
All right. Speed dial. No, not speed dial. Come on. Show me the ding. It's not showing the application. I checked before we started the stream and it was showing. Okay. I'll just share the screen. Fuck it.
Yeah. Just share the screen. It'll show up here. I'll add it to stage. There we go. So
this is my main centerpiece. This is the nervous system of my studio. For those that don't know, this is a solid state Logic X Logic AlphaLink MX16-4, which is a little 1U rack space. As you can see here, it's got 16 inputs, in my case, 4 outputs. So great for a main mix and a Q mix. And then everything in the back is D-sub. So it's got these 25 pin jacks that are eight analog channels each. So in this case, there's 2 sets for the 1 to 8, 9 to 16, and then the 4 inputs on this thing. So the issue that I'm having, and the way that this works is this takes those analog inputs. This is not an interface. Let me just make that clear. There are no mic preamps in here. This is literally, these are line level inputs, and they take that and convert it into MADI, which is this little optical connection here. And then that MADI connection links to this little card inside my tower. And so MADI stands for multi-channel audio digital interface. And basically the way it works is over one of these MADI connections, you get 64 channels of audio. So very scalable protocol. The issue that I'm having is this little fella is getting a little noisy. The inputs on it in particular, I'm getting a lot of shot noise, a lot of burst noise. And I can sort of manage it right now with things like spectral denoise and whatnot, but it is getting worse. And it varies where the noise is on what channels, and how loud it is and how crinkly it is. And so I've been looking at getting this fixed. SSL will not return my emails. SSL, if you're watching, please return my emails. And there.
Noted viewer of the stream, SSL.
Yeah, right. And so, but SSL is a very high-end company. Solid State Logic, they're serious. They don't mess around. This unit, when I bought it new, this was $2,400 for this piece, not including the card. The card isn't like another $700. And so in asking some of the electrical engineers that I know, like, what do I do? Because I've opened this guy up. I know how to solder. I can deal with components. This is all surface mount devices. So I don't have a hot air rework station. I'm not messing around with an SSL converter. And so I'm in the position where I've got to find somebody that can repair this. Either that or I got to drop a couple grand on a new D-sub oriented interface, because obviously everything that connects to this thing goes through 25 pin D-subs, which is generally
Korea do that.
No, the 16 rig, it's all TRS because it's meant for keyboards.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Which is a pain in the butt. I was thinking about that, and then that kind of crossed my mind. So that's why I was looking at the Antelope, the Orion, because it's all D-subs and it's super scalable, and it even has MADI input. So if I get this thing working again, I can get another 16 analog ins. Not that I would need them, but so. Consider that before you buy high-end gear. Consider that. Don't buy it thinking that it's not going to fail. I got a lot of high-end pieces here, and for all things considered, if you look this up on the coveted Sound on Sound magazine, they did a glorious review of how good these converters sound. They're super, super transparent, super low noise when they work. And just a great set of units, and they're scalable. You can chain 4 of these together to get 64 inputs, which is just nuts, right?
Well, and most of the time, the people that buy these things are usually businesses that have
the repair techs, and they've got a full shop of people that can service.
Or they have somebody dedicated to their account.
Yeah.
Right?
So
like SSL has somebody dedicated to the account.
Yeah. Like, when you're buying something like, for example, an SSL duality. So I'll skip out of this here just to knock that down to normal. So when you buy something like an SSL duality, which is their flagship digital analog hybrid mixer, they're going to baby you a lot. If you're spending like $200,000 to $400,000 on a console, they're interested in making you happy. When you buy a $2,400 interface, as much as to the likes of you and me, that's a lot of money. But for them, that's a fraction of a month's salary for one of their repair techs. But
this is also part of the problem with a lot of audio gear is they just don't answer phone calls. Like the companies that are really like blowing service out of the water are the smaller, not smaller, but the more affordable design companies. Rode is a good example of that, right? Like the Rodecaster Pro 2 does not cost $2,400.
Yep.
Therefore, more of them sell. Therefore, more of them break down. Therefore, they have more reason for service. SSL probably doesn't even have anyone manning the phones.
Well, and the other thing too is same with the M1 conversation we had earlier, is this is first generation SSL. Now, SSL has been around a long time. We're talking 50 years here. And so they know what they're doing with certain things, but this was back when SSL just started to venture into the digital interface converter space. That's not really what SSL was known for. Now, the stuff that SSL is making now, like the SSL 6, the SSL 2, they just released their new like pure drive, 8-channel interface, expansions. Those are really nice pieces, and they're rock solid. But this was back when SSL teamed up with Soundscape. I'm not even kidding. If I was still sharing my screen, actually, let me do that just for shits, to show people how archaic the drivers are on this fella.
Will you get that? I'm going to answer Johnny Reagan here. Aiden, do you have a Stream Deck? If you do, get the StreamYard plugin. I almost bought a Stream Deck over Black Friday. I think I'm going to get one on Boxing Day. I've been like, should I? Because for the most part, the only stream I'm doing is this one. However, that might be changing. I don't know. And I would like for this very, very informal stream, I don't really care. Like I'm not doing, if we had like 10,000 views while live, maybe, right? Like that's when you're like, okay, invest a little bit. I'm hardcore about investing in things that don't make money though. Like I generally don't drop cash on things that aren't financially viable. Like I've dropped, this suite cost me $240 for the year, right? Like I dropped that because you guys deserve to have this kind of a product experience. Yeah. But then the experience I'm bringing with the Stream Deck isn't going to make this that much better. Just saying. All right, so here you got your AlphaLink MX here.
So it's the Soundscape word. right away, right at the top of the window. So this is the driver, right? When we talk about, so I will say SSL has not updated this driver. In fact, we can see it. If I go to this card here and I look at the driver, 2012.
Holy
That was the last
crap.
time that SSL updated the driver for this.
Thing,
so they've this thing. I have had this interface for a long time, and it has been rock solid. I have made many tens and tens of thousands of dollars off of this piece. So it has lived a good life. I'm willing to, write it off at this point, probably, if I can't get it repaired.
Let it go run in the field, Dylan.
Yeah. So this is the basic interface. So we got two connections. Only one's being used right now. SMUX 56 channel mode, real basics. Not a lot going on here, but this is basically when SSL teamed up with Soundscape. Now SSL has their own digital division.
Yeah.
They do their own stuff now. They've got great software that is accompanied by their hardware, but this is first gen tech, not great.
Well, it's also firmware 2.0. They made it to 2.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, we're done. We're good.
And it's, there's a USB 2.0 B socket on the back of it to update the firmware. that is how old it is. But again, it sounds good, right? Because in audio, the newest doesn't matter necessarily in high-end audio. Does it sound good? Neve 1073, that design hasn't changed since the 70s. And it's still something that people are willing to pay $3,000 for 2 channels.
Right.
Right. And so that the thing is quality. Now, so what I will say is, and the advice that I'm going to give to anybody that buys high-end gear, before you buy high-end gear, whether it's Neve, API, SSL, any of these companies, do some research on the distributor in your area, because inevitably, if you need to RMA that son of a bitch, you're going to be dealing with the distributor. So in my case, I am fortunate with SSL that SSL's Canadian counterpart is SC Media. Yeah. And I have a coworker that has a connection with SC Media, and they have made that connection. So it's going to probably cost me the price of a new one, but SC Media is willing to do business with me and get this thing back up and running. And they're even going to repair it above spec, which is kind of neat. So they're going to put higher rated capacitors in there in terms of temperature, duration, all that stuff. And so they're going to set this thing up better than it was off the shelf. And I'm kind of happy about that. But so do yourself a favor, though, because companies that sell stuff infrequently, like SSL does, but larger ticket items, they're not necessarily going to return your phone calls. And it's not because they're dicks. It's because they're dealing with clients that are $250,000 purchasers.
You are nothing to them.
Yeah, I am not that guy. But Rode, if you buy $1,000 Rode product, that's right in their sweet spot. Yeah. So,
and but more people have also bought it, right?
Yeah, and so they can afford to allocate, less people on their design team, more people on their maintenance team.
So we got teaser videos. We've got to go soon. It's been a bit over an hour. We got to kick our Friday off. But teaser videos has an interesting question: LCT 440 versus NT1. Which one do you guys recommend? I would say if you're trying to save money, the NT1 is a gorgeous, amazing microphone. And they dropped the price on them. The new NT1, what do they call it? The NT1 Signature Series. It's the new upgraded NT1 specs, and I think they're like 139 US or 159 US, like stupid cheap. The LCT 440 is a little more niche. It's a little brighter. It has a little more crispiness, a little bit of a better top end, I find. Mm-hmm. However, the LCT 440 I don't think is for everybody. I think it's a great mic.
I'd go NT1 personally.
Yeah, for the differential between them, you'll save a bunch of money on the NT1 and save up, and you can buy the LCT 440 later if you really want it. But the amount that you're going to notice between the two, just buy the Rode NT1. It's so cheap right now. Yeah, most costs the same here due to taxes. Oh, that sucks. But yeah, I'd still say NT1.
Yep.
The 440 can be polarizing. The NT1 is ubiquitous with voiceover. Like it's absolutely ubiquitous for voiceover. Disney uses it. So I mean, that's the kind of track record that you're dealing with. The 440 isn't a slouch either, but it is a little more divisive on whether or not you like it or not. Anyways, hopefully that helps. And I think that's about it. We're going to call this one the end. Cheers to everybody for the the super chats. That's the word I'm looking for. That's TechMed, as well as Beresford Productions. Hope you guys have a great Christmas as well. And guys, Merry Christmas. I do have videos coming out still. There's going to be one for Christmas Day. There's going to be one for New Year's Day. I've got a fun video for New Year's Day, but I also have like a video coming up Monday. I have a video for Wednesday. I have a few extra Wednesday videos, just some house cleaning, getting some videos done and out. So tons of content on the way for you to watch up until New Year's Day. Might pop in for a live stream if I've got time, but I mean, Dylan probably.
All right, Aiden, I got to bust your balls about something real quick.
What did I do?
Okay, so we did the first stream on the StreamYard thing, and you went all caps with your name. So I was title case with my name. The next stream we both did all uppercase, and I just noticed that you went to the sentence case. You went to title case on yours. I'm like, God damn it. We need to synchronize this.
It's because I changed computers, by the way.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Sorry. I'll change that next week.
I just wish that you could change it after you started, but I guess it makes sense why you can't.
I'm going all lowercase next time. So
just to fuck with me.
All lowercase. I'm going to be one of the 2020 rappers. That
yeah, I was going to say you're going to,
anything. Yeah, that'll be me. Thanks a lot for joining in. Thank you for 2023, guys. It's been a blast.
Yeah.
Have yourself a great week and a great Christmas and a great New Year. And worst case scenario, we'll see you for a live stream in the first week of January.
Yeah, we'll catch you 2024. Stick around. Lots of cool shit coming.
Later, guys.